question for you. I've been writing a lot of travel insurance guides lately, and I've usually included a section that says 85% of your benefits are actually going to be met or exceeded with your credit card insurance. The two things that come to mind offhand are COVID coverage, not necessarily included in travel insurance right now for most credit cards, while even standalone plans for travel insurance have all begun adding it as a fairly standard aspect of coverage. Is that something you think credit card benefits will start adding back in as well? And the other thing that's very popular is cancel for any reason insurance.
Yes.
Is that a thing that credit card benefits might add on as an optional claim package for specific types of travel?
Great questions. So let's talk about COVID first. COVID for our benefits is considered like any other sickness, accident, or illness. So there is no exclusion for COVID, and there is no pandemic exclusion. So I'm talking about the bank card benefits, no additional cost included with the credit card. When COVID first became a thing in the early 2020, what was happening is everybody wanted to cancel their travel out of the fear of COVID. And fear of something is not insurable. Concern about COVID is not insurable. However, if someone actually had COVID, that's covered just like any other issue, and you were entitled to file a claim and be paid for that claim. With retail travel insurance, what happened there is they did have a pandemic exclusion. So that would be any pandemic, not just COVID, and that is what retail travel insurance was using to not honor claims related to COVID. Exactly right. Customer paid. Yes. So that was what was happening with COVID. What we then tried to address with COVID is a new problem, which was people that were on a trip, in many cases had no symptoms, but tested positive and couldn't get on a plane to get home. Now all of a sudden your budget is blown up. You've got food and lodging expenses for probably 10 days in most times a foreign country, but it also happened domestically early on. Your car might be parked at the airport back home, that's another $50 a day. Your pet might be boarded somewhere. So you can imagine the financial issue that happens when you have an unexpected quarantine. That cost was not covered by most insurance benefits. So what we did is then expanded the benefits as an additional option that quarantine expenses could be covered. That got a lot of press, that got a lot of interest early on. What's happened now is that pretty much testing has gone away, requirements have gone away. So people they're not forced to quarantine anymore. Unfortunately, I think it's pretty safe to assume that every airplane you get on these days, probably 10 people on that plane have COVID. So the quarantine issue has pretty much gone away as countries have reopened all their borders and just gone back to the way it was pre-COVID. I think I answered the COVID question. Now let's move on to CFAR. CFAR is cancel for any reason, and that's a coverage that is typically associated with retail travel insurance, where when you buy a trip and you've got to buy a trip pretty far in advance to preserve your best options and to get the best price. There's a lot of risk between the date that you buy that trip and your departure date that something's going to change in your life or another option's going to come up and you can't go on this trip. Traditional travel insurance, something has to happen for you to be able to file a claim. You need to get sick. Someone in your traveling party needs to get sick. You lose your job, some qualifying event. Not just, I don't want to go anymore, or, I've changed my mind, whatever it is. So cancel for any reason became somewhat of a popular benefit. But
we have
because
just 30 seconds left, so we're wrapping it up, and then we'll have 5 minutes to select the new
that was a
name.
fast 20 minutes.
Whatever you like.
Because insurance companies don't know how to gauge the risk of people just changing their mind, What they do is they'll say, you can insure half your trip. You've got to have some skin in the game. I don't want you to just call me up and say, I don't want to go, and I give you all the money back, because then, what's to stop you from doing it? So cancel for any reason exists. We have an option available on bank card. There's a cost component to it, though, that may make it not practical for issuers to offer on a widespread basis. It is an expensive benefit to deliver because the claims are very
Usually
high.
about a 40 to 50% premium increase on retail insurance.
That's right. That's right.
A lot of the airline and hotel programs now, like, they allow you to cancel anyways. They've changed their cancellation policies. Whereas before, you cancel and you would forfeit your money, or you had to pay a fee to cancel it. And now most of them just allow you to cancel it anyways.
It only covers the non-refundable parts anyway, so
Yeah.
the travel is refundable.
But I'm saying that previously a lot of the airline fares were not refundable unless you paid extra. Now it's like most of them, whether it's awards or cash, you can cancel and be able to get your cash back.
I agree with you. What I can tell you from the claims experience is that the airlines and the lodging providers relaxed all of their penalties coming out of COVID because they're trying to encourage people to book and make them feel comfortable.
It'll come back. Yeah.
And now we're starting to see those penalties come back.
So you do or don't think it is something that cards might add as if I'm willing to pay you that extra premium for CFAR, you still don't think it's something that cards would offer?
I think that you'll start to see CFAR. If you start to see CFAR, you'll see it as a customer-paid upsell.
Right. Do you know any cards that do offer that right now?
Yes, Capital One is experimenting with it. They use Hopper for their travel rewards, and it's actually not insurance, but there's a way through the Hopper platform that you can pay some extra money and get some percentage of CFAR on that trip.